Hello, my friends. Today, I'd like to talk about think the Noahide way about eating blood, a living limb, and kosher meat. So that's part of our series that we speak about thinking the Noahide way about different issues. So what are we talking about? First, what does it mean think about the Noahide way? We call ourselves children of Noah, and the question is, why do we pick the name Noah? Why not Adam? Why shouldn't we call ourselves children of Adam rather than Bnei Noah? After all, we are all children descended of Adam and Eve. So what exactly do we mean by being children of Noah? What separates Noah from Adam? A good answer is, of course, we're physically descended of Noah and as well as from Adam. But the good answer for the change in the name is that Adam received 6 commandments in Eden: idolatry, adultery, bloodshed, theft, civil order, blasphemy, 6 commandments. And whereas Noah received one more, the 7. Also, you may ask, what does it mean? Just one more commandment? What is that important? Does it justify a new name? And the answer is yes. One more commandment from Hashem, it's extremely meaningful. It means that we are entering a new level of commitment. It's a game changer. We Noahide are at a higher level of expectation from Hashem than the children of Adam. So it's a new level of commitment that changes the Noah from the previous Adam. So again, although one can claim that we are all children of Adam, and it's repeated in the Bible many times, children of Adam, mistranslated as children of man in English. Whenever you see children of man or son of a man, it's not son of a man, it's son of Adam. So, but we are entering a new level of commitment by addressing Noah rather than Adam. So that means that the 7 commandments, the game changer, is extremely important. What is it all about? The 7 commandments is a prohibition to eat a limb torn from a living animal and to drink blood. There are 2 components in one commandment. Where does it come from? It comes from the verse, which I'll show you right in a minute. The verse says, but flesh with its blood, with its soul, its blood, you shall not eat, in Genesis. Where does the verse appear? in the text when Hashem speaks to Noah after the flood. So if you look carefully to the prohibition, there are two parts. One is to not to eat flesh with its soul, being a living flesh. We talk a limb torn from a living animal. We'll talk about it. And number two, blood. So there are two different prohibition, the limb and the blood, in one verse. Now, since it's who is commanded here, Hashem talked to Noah after the flood. So all Noahides are included in the prohibition. What about Israel? Israel, the Torah repeats the same prohibition to Israel 5 more times in the book of Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Now, by that repetition, according to our rule, if a commandment is said to Noahite and it's repeated to Israel, it applies to both. So the Torah, by repetition, by repeating it to Israel, the Torah made the prohibition equal to both Israel and Noahide, with differences. Now, one difference is, you see it right away, it's repeated to Israel 5 times in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Which means that for Israel, Israel should take the prohibition very seriously, with a lot of the heavenly retribution for that, much more than Noahide. So we'll see in a minute how strictly Israel should keep that prohibition as opposed to Noahide. That I can explain you what kosher meat is. So let's talk about first the touched limb, a limb from an animal. What does it contain? What does it mean, detached living limb? So the Talmud debate about it. What constitutes a limb, a detached limb for the halacha? What should be included in a limb? And the answer is a detached limb is prohibited if it contains bone, tendon, and flesh, the 3 components. Meaning it does not have a whole limb, like a whole leg of the animal. A detached limb is prohibited once it has the 3 components, bone, tendon, and flesh. Now, what about just torn flesh without bone? Is it prohibited? So first of all, just torn flesh is called living flesh if it has some blood in it, let's say. So without bone, it would be called living flesh. According to the Talmud, it is also included in the prohibition of eating a limb, but in a lesser severity. Since the punishment is from the end of heavens, we don't really specify what it means, less severity, but it's also prohibited for Noahide, just the flesh. Maybe less strictly, less less severely punished by God. But it is considered prohibited even for Noahide. I'm talking about flesh, maybe tendons, but no bones. To Israel, it's also prohibited, of course, but to Israel, the Torah added another prohibition to eat flesh from unslaughtered animal. That's a different category. So Israel, of course, is prohibited. Noahide, too, should be careful about just torn flesh. Which animals are included? According to the Talmud, it's a cattle, beast, and poultry. Fish and insects are not included. What's the difference? Could be because fish and insects didn't die at the time of the flood. Could be. But it's across the board, cattle, beasts, and poultry. You cannot eat its blood. The limb, torn limb, and its blood. So we talk about, superficially though, about detached limb. What does it mean? We said it contains the three components, flesh, bone, and, and a sinew or tendons. Yeah, tendons. And now let's move to the blood. Again, it comes from the same verse. The verse says, flesh, the soul, and its blood should be prohibited. So blood is too prohibited. The question is, what kind of blood is it we are talking about? And the answer is, there are three types of blood. Listen to that. Three types of blood are considered in the halachic debate. The first category is the blood that pour out from the artery and vein at the time of the killing, gushing out. That's called the blood of the soul. The animal will die because of losing that kind of blood. So that's the first blood that come out in a gush, in a spurt. Then the second flow of blood will come out, ooze out of the organ. Inside the body, it's not coming out of the flesh of gush of blood. It will come out more slowly out of the surrounding the organ. It's called organ blood. So we have the first blood of the soul, and the second one is the blood of the organ, which come after that. The third type of blood we should consider here is the blood that is trapped inside the organ and it does not flow out at all, like in the liver. Here is a slide that summarizes those three. So blood of the soul, the gush out, and then followed by the blood of the organ, and then the trapped blood in the limb, in the organ themselves inside. That is not washed out. Even if you pour water over it, it will not come out. So what's the difference between those three? For Noahide, listen to that. For Noahide, only the first one is included. The blood that come out of the artery vein at the time of the animal death. The blood of the soul is prohibited for Noahide and of course for Israel. Number two, the blood of the organ that come out of that, and certainly the blood of the inside trapped inside the organ, like in the liver, it's not included in the prohibition because the life of the animal does not depend on that. The prohibition is on the blood that the livelihood or the life of the animal is dependent on it. It's only number one. What about Israel? Here's the severity. Remember, the Torah repeated 5 times to Israel. So Israel should keep it, observe it much more strictly than Noah. So number two, the blood of the organ is also prohibited to Israel. But that blood is not seen right away. You need to wash it off. Here comes the practice of make the meat kosher. It's not enough just to get rid of the first blood from the arteries and vein. You need to take the piece of meat and you need to salt it. By salting, you extract any superficial blood over the organ. Forget about number three. The blood that is trapped inside, you can eat it, but the custom is to roast the liver before you eat it. Again, to get rid of any blood that is over it. So again, for Noahide, I repeat it, the blood of the soul is certainly prohibited both to Israel and Noahide. And whereas number 2 and 3, number 2 is prohibited only to Israel, and that's Israel has to extract it by salting, making it kosher meat. And the number 3 is not prohibited. Now there is a difference in severity here and retribution. If you violate both Noahide and Israel violate number 1, severely punishable by the heavenly courts. When Israelite violate the number 2, it's the blood of the organ is punishable by the court. Can get lashes. Today we don't do it, but in the past, people were fearful of getting lashes if they ate non-kosher meat, especially in public. Number 3, the blood in the organ, it's okay for all Noahide in Israel. Now, obviously, first, there is another category. The Torah prohibits Israel so much from eating blood that actually the Torah add another prohibition to Israel. It's called, you shall not eat over blood, which means that's in Leviticus. Which means you don't even sit and eat anything if blood is around you, on the ground or even on a table. A cup of blood is here, and I'm sitting here and eat my lunch. I can eat vegetable lunch. It's prohibited as long as blood is around you. So much the Torah wants us to stay away from the blood. So that's another category, only for Israel. Again, Israel is prohibited 5 times as opposed to Noahide only once. So that's the reason for the extra restriction and that the rabbis actually imposed on Israel to set ourselves apart from eating blood. And there are many more requirements for kosher meat. As you know, first of all, the type of the animal. We can eat only the animal that Noah brought on the altar in Mount Moriah. They are kosher meat, like goat, sheep, and ram. Those species were brought, he brought it in 7 species, 7 samples into the ark. All the rest were brought as a pair, male and female. Those species were brought inside in a sample of 7, and from those species, he took his burnt offering to Hashem after the flood. So those animals fall under the category of prohibited meat for consumption to Israel. Regardless, it's the story of the meat, of the blood or detached meat. It's just a species itself. Fish and insects were not included at all. Now, that's basically the law that I described to you, the law of law number 7 of Noah, that prohibits both Noah and Israel to eat detached limb. We discussed what it means. And to eat blood. We discussed what it means. Now the question is, what's the logic about this prohibition? Why it is so important that set Noahide apart from Adam and Eve? That's the question. So you look at the commentary and see what's the logic behind the prohibition. And here I must tell you, it's almost a shame. You could read 20 commentaries if you want. Look at the internet. And most explanations are mythical or actually superstitious. And I quote to you, for instance, they say blood of animal is prohibited because it was used in the temple to sacrifice. Others say the opposite. The blood is prohibited because it was used for witchcraft, like in Egypt. And some say, no, it's a medical issue. It's unhealthy, which has no base. They say, oh, the blood of animal don't mix well with the blood of man. Strictly myth. It never digested. Or when it digests, it produces all kind of poison that spoil or poison your mind. All kind of baseless reasons that were written over the last centuries, medieval time, by people who didn't really have any good explanation. They all, by the way, none of them mention Noah. They all focus on Leviticus and Deuteronomy. And the context in Leviticus and Deuteronomy The context is eating, consuming meat in general. So the Torah says, if you want to eat meat in general, do it, slaughter it, and don't eat meat, don't eat blood of the animal. So there, it doesn't say really the reasons. You can concoct your own reason, your own philosophy, whatever, on your level, what you say. The book of Chinuch, by the way, written by 13th century, basically following the Rambam, he is the only one, the only famous one, I say, that says actually by prohibiting the detached limb or blood, the Torah want to teach us to be less cruel. Here is approaching the Noah story, but it doesn't mention Noah. Now, of course, if the rule of thumb, if you want to find a concept in the Torah, you go to the first time it appears. So the first time the prohibition appeared in the Torah is Noah. So in order to understand the prohibition, we need to go first to Noah to understand what happened there, and we understand the logic behind the prohibition. So where is it in the story of Noah? It's in a rainbow covenant. Here simply the text itself, the rainbow covenant, I quoted it as it is in the text. There are two wings. First, blue, painted it in blue, because first Hashem speak, YHVH, and followed by Elohim. That's the rainbow text of the rainbow covenant of Noah. And here, down here, in the middle of the red one, in the wing of Elohim law, Elohim speak about the law, in the covenant, so you see that I highlighted you the prohibition, but flesh with its soul or blood you shall not eat. So it's part, number 7 of Noah is a part of Elohim wing in the rainbow covenant. So Elohim gives the law of bloodshed, preceded by the Hashem blue one talking about the evilness of mankind. So of course, if we want to comprehend the logic, the message behind commandment number 7, which is a very important topic for Noahide. So if we want to understand what set us apart from Adam, children, what elevate us to become Noahide, we need to understand that's a rainbow covenant, because it's a part of it. I'm not going to discuss all of that right now. We discuss it in our class. But I just want to point out the main thing. So it's a part of Elohim wing, the red wing. What is Elohim talking here about? So this is Elohim law. That tell us the law of bloodshed in detail. You can see first Elohim bless Noah. Then you see the prohibition number 7. It's right here. but flesh with its soul, its blood, you shall not eat. So we can identify our prohibition of eating detached limb and blood inside the Elohim wing in a rainbow covenant. So now we know how to address it. But this is only the beginning of the wing. Elohim start with the killing of animals. Then he continue to ascend to the killing of men. He start with the suicide, prohibiting suicide, prohibiting indirect killing by beast. You put person in front of beast, depend on the beast, and then mercenaries, prohibition, and then so all sort of indirect killing of people, prohibited. Then he goes to direct. He end up with direct killing of man by man. This should be such a killer should be executed in the human court, including abortion. So what the wing is telling us here is a law of bloodshed. It starts with killing animal. It's prohibited. It's still killing. But you can do it. Elohim allow Noah to do it, to eat, as long as he keep the number 7 commandment, in refraining from eating blood and a torn limb. Then Elohim ascend to the killing of people. And it described it in detail. So what's new here? What's new here above Adam and Eve? Because we said this prohibition here set Noahide apart from Adam and Eve. And you can see it right here, the difference. Whereas Adam and Eve were prohibited to eat, to kill, in a general term. 6th commandment of Adam says bloodshed is prohibited. In fact, you can say that Adam was prohibited to eat animal, period, flesh. Some say that that's the case. And here is Elohim allowing Noah to start eating meat, provided he keep the law of bloodshed. So to Adam and Eve, the prohibition was given, do not kill in general term, very vaguely, addressing animal or addressing people in the same way, without specifying. Here is a different approach. Here Elohim spell out the prohibition of killing in a very calculated way. Step by step, suicide, indirect killing, murder, abortion, in a calculated, detailed way. As if saying, Noah, just giving people the general prohibition, thou shall not kill, won't stop them from killing. It's not be effective. To be effective, people should learn the law in detail, digest it in detail, learn Torah in detail, on the way out, in the way in, when you sleep, when you wake up, you learn Torah in detail. Because if you learn the law in detail, digesting it, it may enter your mind and heart and change it. And that is true not only for bloodshed, it is true for all the commandments, for idolatry, adultery, civil order, justice. You need to learn detail in order to allow it to change your heart and mind. So that's the major change in commitment that separate Noahide from Adam and Eve children. The level of commitment, the level of studying the Torah in detail. It's not enough just to say, thou shalt not kill. It's more important. To be effective, you need to learn those laws in detail. You know, you can spend a whole year studying those laws. So that you not commit suicide, indirect killing, killing by beasts, by snakes, by by hunger, by taking away medication, by stopping breathing machine, indirectly, directly, mercenaries, who is responsible? So much law is derived from those headlines here that it's endless. You need to learn it more and more in detail in order to affect your mind and soul and in order to stop bloodshed. That's what Elohim is saying here to Noah. Your children should be different than Adam and Eve children. They should learn Torah. In Israel, the body is so perfected, there's explicit order to learn Torah day and night. For Noahide, it's not explicit order, but it's a conclusion come from this revelation here that you need to learn Torah. So Noahide learned Torah as opposed to the children of Adam. Wow, that's a major change that explains the level of commitment that the Noahide enter and justify a new name. And it's right here in the wing of Elohim. But that's not the whole story, because as you remember, this wing of Elohim is preceded by the wing of Hashem in blue, that also is relevant to our story. Let's see what it says. So as you see here, Hashem in blue here in the text doesn't say a word about the law. She speaks only about the evilness of mankind heart. It's evil from his youth, he says. What the story here? Let's dwell on it. It's worthwhile to spend some time on it to see what is Hashem telling Noah about bloodshed in general, and that can explain to us the reason behind the seven law of Noah, because that's a introduction to the law. So here she tell us why Elohim is going to give us a law. So in order to understand it, let's go to the story here. It starts with Noah building an altar and offer on it a burnt offering, and Hashem smell the sweet aroma. You cannot imagine how many people I heard on the internet, on the TV discussing this, and they laugh. They say, "Oh, Noah bribed God by meat. Hashem loved the meat, the burning smoke." They don't understand when the merciful one, she smelled the sweet aroma. She says to Noah, "Oh, what kind of good smell I smell. The burning flesh that you offer me, I like it." Because he offered burnt offering. Burnt offering, it means you pour out the thought on your heart without saying a word. So she said, "I like it. I heard what you're saying without saying a word. I like what's in your heart. It's a good smell in my nostril." She accepted Noah's petition. What was he, what did he ask? What was it? What was the story? What was on Noah's mind when he stood there on the altar? Let's recall the story in short. If you remember, few verses earlier than the year, after the flood, it's a very important topic to understand the Noahide number 7. It's all introduction to Noah number 7. Noah was devastated because of flood. He was depressed. He didn't want to go out. Elohim told him to go out and procreate, you and your wife, your children, your son and their wife. And he said no, he stayed in the ark. And the rabbi asked, one of the rabbis said, "I don't understand. The water already receded. The dove came back with the olive leaf in her mouth. It was dry land outside. Why did he kept sitting in the ark? Had it been me, I would run out immediately." And the answer is no. He let the animal go out, but he stayed in. He stayed in because he didn't want to start civilization again. So the Midrash says Elohim kept telling him, you must go out. So Noah finally had no choice. He went out. He and his sons, his wife with her daughter-in-law, meaning we don't procreate. I'm still adamant. I'm still standing on my own leg. I will not start civilization. Why? What was in mind? The Torah doesn't say, but you can see it from his action. He took his family to long way to Mount Moriah from Mount Ararat. There on Mount Moriah, if you remember the story, they erected the stone of Cain and Abel, the first murder. From the stone that were lying around, they erected a square altar filled with dirt, with a ramp from the south. It became a prototype of all altars in the future. And he offered it burnt offering from the species of the enter in 7. He took those species and offered a burnt offering without saying a word. And to his children, he said, "You see this place? This is where bloodshed started, Cain and Abel. And I want to accomplish one goal, that bloodshed will stop from here. Here is, as the Talmud says, here is where bloodshed started, and here is where bloodshed will stop. Jerusalem will be the place where bloodshed bloodshed started Cain and Abel, and Jerusalem will be the same place where bloodshed will be stopped. That's what Noah said to his sons as he offered the burnt offering without saying a word to Hashem. Hashem, you know me, you read my heart, I don't need to say a word. That's called burnt offering. So Hashem, as the smoke went up, Hashem liked it. She liked what he was asking for. He was asking to end bloodshed. She liked it. And so what went up with the smoke? What kind of thought he poured out from his heart when he talked to Hashem silently? Again, the Torah is not counting it. It's an intimate relationship between Noah and God. The Torah will not spell it out, what he thought. But we can derive it from the answer of Hashem. So we can derive that that he feared the bloodshed will return. Bloodshed will return as in his generation, and it will bring back the flood. No escape. He didn't believe that mankind, as the mankind was in its time, that mankind can overcome the bloodthirsty heart, that mankind can overcome the drive for killing. He didn't believe it will happen. In that case, why should he procreate? He was fearful that all the mistake of the past will be repeated by his own sons. He had ample time, the Midrash says, to sit in the ark and ponder about what was causing the flood. He took care of the animal, but he had ample time also to learn, to think, what should we do now to stop the mistake of the past? So what brought, he knew from the revelation before the flood, he knew that the heavenly court sealed their fate because of bloodshed and theft also, mugging. So he knew that that's something that should never happen before again. So what had caused the bloodshed in the past? That was he was pondering. Of course, they started. He was thinking bloodshed is preceded by bloodshed is number 3. They violated number 1 and number 2. His generation violated number 1, not by worshipping idol of wood and stone, but splitting by worshipping either Elohim alone or mercy alone. Remember Enosh, the priest of mercy, charismatic? He followed mercy, we neglected Elohim, the law. And you remember Cain's children? They did the opposite. They followed Elohim or Allah, if you want, without mercy. So that split in the brain of religion is idolatry, breaching oneness. And that's idolatry caused them to also to violate number 2. The Torah says that they took women for themselves as they wished, married or not. Once you violated number one and number two, you drift, you slide into violating number three with bloodshed. The two camps ended up with fighting each other to the tooth, to the death. Such rivalry and animosity, that people corpses were in the street, uncounted. The gang of Tubal Cain, if you remember the stories. And animosity was so great that he and Nama should have been married. He came from Enosh, she came from Cain, and mixed marriages were forbidden because of some hatred. And also there was a belief that the children of such mixed marriages will be monsters. So they didn't produce, they got married, they produced only 3 sons and no more. So even thinking about that, so since mankind is probably will be bounded, are born to stand idolatry trial, mankind soon will err and split between the attributes. One brand will worship mercy and saying that the law are abrogated. And another big camp will say the opposite, that Elohim's sword is important, no mercy. And they will fight each other, and who knows how it's going to end up. They destroy the universe. If that's so, why should he procreate? But from the answer, look what Hashem is telling him. I will not bring again the flood, as you asked, because I know man is evil from his youth. Hashem is answering Noah in something very deep that was on his mind. Noah suspected, and listen to that, he suspected that something deeper than religion is causing mankind to wage war. All culture and religion is something superficial. What drives us to war and to killing is our animalistic evil heart that we inherited from nature. That's the cause of bloodshed. Colonies of ants fight to the death to the other colonies. That's nature. Two groups of people will kill each other to the death. Or they will find all kind of excuse. You believe in that, I believe in that. You trapped by all kind of excuses, superficial excuses. Putin will find million excuses why he invaded Ukraine. He can swear to you that they did this and this and that and that. The truth is, it's simply animalistic drive to wage war. And if that's so, Noah said, while he was standing on the altar, I will not procreate until God, you promise me that there will be a change in human heart, less bloodthirsty, and that you also change your heart, that you will show us more mercy and less judgment than before, that the flood will not come back again soon. If you don't promise me, I will not procreate. That's what it's thinking. That was he was thinking on the altar by the burnt offering. How we know it? From the text here. from the answer of Hashem. Hashem says, no, there is a future. I know that mankind can overcome his brother. Mankind is evil from his youth, but mankind can mature. Don't remember it says, let us make man. We need to make ideal man, Adam. We need to make, Adam is born to perfect himself by learning Torah and by learn to become more merciful. That's a very strong background for prohibition number 7. So why do we refrain from eating blood and a torn limb? As Sefer HaChinuch says, the Torah wants to teach us to be less cruel, to change our heart in the right direction. In the right direction, because as we move in the future, we'll see more and more mercy coming into the world and less judgment. Finally, the Sabbath, the whole world will be filled with mercy and joy, and Elohim will actually abstain. Be less and less presence of Elohim. So by showing to mankind more mercy, as Noah asked, we are moving in the right direction. As a result, and here we are finishing, as a result of this prayer, a rainbow appeared in the sky, and the rainbow separate, the Midrash says, the harsh presence of Elohim, the harsh presence sitting, as if he's sitting above the rainbow, and diminished presence, more benevolent, more ameliorated presence of Elohim behind it. So we see less judgment under the rainbow as a response to that's what Noah asked. I want to see less judgment. So the rainbow separate the hard judgment above from below, and we are under the rainbow. We are all under a lesser harsh of Elohim, more patient with us. At the same time, more mercy. Sun come out. So all that in the right direction. So now we have an idea of what separates Noahide from Adam and Eve children. A new level of commitment, of learning Torah, of moving towards more mercy and less judgment. Thank you, and we'll see, God willing, continue our series of think as a Noahide about something. So today we learn how to think as Noahide about the prohibition prohibition not to eat meat and a torn limb. Thank you. Have a good day.